Crowd seeking was custom for the crowd saver. Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Sabbath School Study Group. We are beginning a new 5-part series, Mission to the Unreached, trying to understand what it means to reach those who are what we would call unreached. Here in part number 1, seeking the multitudes. This is what Jesus did. What can we learn from it? But before we get to it, I want to remind you that if you are enjoying this study, praise God. Please subscribe to the channel so we can stay in touch. Please click that like button below. That's what makes the video visible to others. And please share this with someone else. We appreciate you. It's interesting the places that you will find love. And when I think of love, I'm not talking about lowercase L-O-V. I'm talking about capital L-O-V-E. God is love. And when he sent Jesus, his son, where he was literally speaks metaphorically to where God can find us. Jesus is always in the multitude. Not that he only spends his time in the multitudes, but there is no gospel and there is no instance where you would see Jesus going away from the multitudes that are prepared to listen. Here in Matthew chapter 9, verse 36 to 37, but when he, Jesus, saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Then saith he unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. There are a couple of things to take from this verse, and we'll start from the back end to get to the front. When he refers to the crowd as the harvest, notice how he has no complaints. He has no ills. He's got no beef with the multitudes, even though there were people there who loved God and didn't love God, people from this place and that place. His issue was not with the multitudes because the crowd saver has to go to the crowds. Another lesson we can get from this is that when Jesus saw everyone, he was moved with compassion. It's not that the crowd was perfect. It's not that the crowd did not have flaws or faults, but, and the words of the song say, he looked beyond my faults and saw my needs. Jesus is looking beyond their faults and he sees their need, and that need moves his compassion. It stirs what's in him, the crowd saver. As the crowd saver in Mark chapter 3 and verses 19 to 20, after Jesus has called the 12, the last of whom, and Judas Iscariot here in verse 19, which also betrayed him, and they went into an house. It says, and the multitude cometh together again, so that they could not as much as eat bread. Now, this story is interesting because in this gospel, Jesus has just called and he's anointed this 12, including the betrayer, Judas Iscariot. And then as he's called them into this house, they could not eat. They could not go into dinner because of the multitudes around them. While he anoints 12, he anoints a select group. He calls an elect group for ministry to the multitude. He calls a few for the ministry to the folks. This is why God is on the one hand, we can say, well, he's exclusive. Well, he's exclusive by nature in that there's nobody like him. But we cannot say he's exclusive by nurture or he's exclusive by intent. All that God is, only God is that. But he wants to impart, and through Jesus, he wants to impute all of that to all of us. The crowd saver looks for the crowds. Even here in Luke chapter 8, 45 to 46, Jesus says, who touched me? When all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, Master, the multitude throng thee and press thee, and thou sayest, who touched me? And Jesus said, somebody hath touched me, for I perceive that virtue is gone out of me. So much in this verse. But to the thought that we're trying to embrace and understand here is that Jesus has no complaint with the crowd. The crowd saver does not say, here they go again. He's not lamenting the fact that they're pressing in on him. He's aware of everyone, but at the same time sensitive to just one who touches him, because her touch actually wasn't a call just to get, but she pulled out through her faith the power of God through his son, and he notes that. But when Jesus looks at the crowd and he sees them, He is grateful. Even though it says here, it uses that word, he's thronged by them. They're all around him. We don't get any picture of frustration from Christ because that's why he came. He came to save the crowd. That's why we can truly say that Christ, even today, and his Christians should not be the crowd followers, but the crowd seekers.